evening. We warmly welcome all of you for another webinar session in our series of Meeting a CEO. On behalf of Appit family and the Directorate, I take this moment to warmly welcome Hajar Alafifi, Chairperson and Managing Director of Unilever Sri Lanka. It's an honor to have you today with us. And in the meanwhile, thank you so much for all the students and all the Staffordshire University counterparts who are joining with us in this audience today, and hope you will be able to have a wonderful session with this wonderful person. And to start with the session for today, I would like to invite our chairman, Mr. Bandula Egodage, to have a few words with all of us. Chairman, over to you.
Thank you, Kaushali. Hello, Hajar. Good evening. Welcome to Appit CEOs Forum. Thank you for accepting my invitation and being with us today. On behalf of Appit CEO, Mr. Roshan Egodage, Board of Directors, staff, and all the students, very warmly welcome you. I'm sure you are enjoying Sri Lankan hospitality along with your energetic team in Unilever. I have the blessing of Appit that I'm also enjoying very, very good. Take care of myself in Appit. So our objective is to give our students to direct interaction with top CEOs of Sri Lanka and to get first-hand information from leaders like you. It's a lifetime experience for our students. Fairness to all the CEOs attended so far. They were very happy to be with this worthy cause. I'm sure you too. You may be aware that Appit known for quality education over 2 decades in Sri Lanka. We inspire love to learn. Not only academic excellence, we need our students to be leaders in the society. We intend to build leadership within them. Every student is a leader for Appit. That is why leaders like you to request inspire our students. I think my task is good enough. My talk is good enough. Students are eagerly waiting for you to listen. Haja, I have to say, this exercise actually is a lifetime of experience of any students. Even we can recall the top CEO, we didn't have the chance during my school time to, or most of our students to get in touch with you. So you are giving that opportunity. It's a huge service, and being one of the top executives in Sri Lanka. Once again, thank you very much for your presence. Thank you very much for your preparation as well. Thank you for your keen interest and the commitment. Finally, thank you for your time in spite of your busy schedule. Over to you, Dr. Rohanta.
Thank you very much, Chairman. And it's my sincere pleasure and honor to introduce the Chairperson and Managing Director of Unilever Sri Lanka, Hajar Alafifi. Appointed as Chairperson and Managing Director of Unilever Sri Lanka in March 2020, with over 20, almost 19 years of rich, diverse experience in the Unilever across different geographies from Morocco to South Africa, Netherlands, and London. Hajar carries extensive experience in strategy and execution, coupled with strong business and people acumen. Prior to her role, Hajar was the Global Brand Vice President for the dishwash business. Hajar has led brands such as Omo, Sunlight, early in her career, and was also appointed Strategy Director for the Global Headquarters business. In each of her roles, she has successfully spearheaded category transformation whilst unlocking sustainable growth and brand purpose. With her career spread across both developed and emerging markets, she is well versed in several diverse base of consumers. Hajar graduated with special honors as the Bachelor of Business Administration Marketing major. Her purpose is to change the status quo and especially eager to doing so on the women's agenda. Is a passionate advocate for diversity, inclusion, and is an active member of Unilever. Hajar is also a member of the LEAD Network and the Zintio alumni. She is known for her passion for high performance, committed to people growth, and strategic clarity. Hajar is a British Moroccan national outside of work. She enjoys meditation, running, Pilates, and long walks amidst nature. Hajar, it's actually a pleasure to introduce you, and being also a former Unileverite, it's actually an honor to host you. Over to you, madam.
Thank you so much. Let me first thank Ms. Koshali, Bandula, good to see you again. Professor, good to see you again. Let me say thank you guys for joining. I know it's late. I know it's the end of the year. So thank you for being here with us today, and I hope we will have an engaging platform. Please feel free to send questions, those that bothers you, those that makes you lose sleep. I hope with this crowd we will be able to address some of them. I am also told I have some of my colleagues at Unilever who's also joining this call. So Unilever, welcome to you all. I thought before I start, I'll just warn you about what is about to happen. So we structured the talk in two sections. The theme which I'd like to start with is around the brand building during pandemic, which has been shared with you. That's the first part which we're gonna put together. Then the second part is going to be actually about us as people, us about humans, but us also as leaders. I'd like to share with you, my small journey in what I've called an OK journey. And I'd like them to mirror that with the values we have at Unilever and how we believe that people are at the center of everything we do. So these are the two main topics which we will cover. Then we will have a Q&A, and I look forward for a really buzzing chat. Now, at Unilever, we believe in the power of presentation, because we believe that presentation can structure the thinking, and it will make me not deviate too much from the core topic, which Bandula and Professor Rohanta have chosen for us today. So I have few slides which I will be sharing with you. I think about 13 or 15, and our head of comms, Johan, is now going to help me with the technology. I hope you now are able to see a slide which actually has as a theme brand building during a pandemic. So I'll go forward, assuming it's a yes. So moving to the next chart. I thought I first present to you, who are we as a company? Who is Unilever? And I must say, when we were putting these numbers together, we actually found that the numbers kept growing. So Unilever is one of the largest FMCGs out there, has been built by Lord Lever back in the 19th century. We're now present in 190 countries, among which Sri Lanka is a pride member. We hold leadership positions, and we take this as a responsibility in 84% of the brands or the portfolio. We have either number one or number two position. So it's a huge responsibility that we carry towards our consumer. Our staff are quite large. We're speaking about 150,000 employees. So, the ability to grow talent and groom talent is an important value of ours. And the rest of the numbers are actually there for you to see. But I'd like to also pause on two other things. The gender balance is an important thing for us. So we already are in a 51-49, and we look forward for even more growth on that aspect. So actually, in terms of managers, we already are 51% female managers. And you would ask, diversity is a very important topic for us, because it's only when we are diverse, coming from different opinions, gender, etc., that we can actually contribute to bettering the society where we live. And we are the number one employer of choice in 52 of the markets that I spoke of. And I must say, in Sri Lanka, we have enjoyed that number one as well, and we carry that with responsibility. So that's a first glance of who is Unilever. Moving to the next slide, I thought I'll give you what's really, the raison d'être. The question that you probably are asking yourself, why am I here? And when Unilever asks itself, what is the purpose of Unilever? It squares around this very simple circle. Our purpose at Unilever is to make sustainable living commonplace. And we believe that that comes with three criteria. And you would see these criteria actually embedded in everything we do. So we believe that companies with purpose last. We believe that brands with purpose grow, and people with purpose thrive. And you'd see, so the three words here, companies, people, brands, When you put this click together, this is when the magic happens. Moving to the next chart, I just want to double click a little bit on what I have just said now. And I think the model of Unilever, which I'd like to share with the students and the colleagues here present, what you see as number one is actually very, very important for us. We put consumers at the heart of everything we do. So for us, getting insights from the consumer, seeing how we can improve on the consumer aspect, be it product quality, be it brand perception, is a fundamental pillar for us. And then you can appreciate for yourself the rest of this circle, whereby it's a whole system that needs to work in sync, from the consumer insight to the sales, without forgetting manufacturing, logistics, marketing, sourcing. So it's that whole click that comes together. And maybe if I would pause in one or two numbers, which I'd like to share with you, our R&D center is fundamental to everything we do. And if you ask me why, because we believe in product superiority. I hope that when you use any of the Unilever products, you do see that quality quite well. And we have a huge budget that is to grow our research and science technology towards the same. And then in terms of marketing, we believe in the power of reaching to the consumer through advertising, through social media, and actually we are the second largest advertiser in the world. So it's an important factor as to how we can access the consumer and share with him or with her the novelties and the portfolio we have. So moving to the next chart, I think this is where it's going to become interesting. I wanted to then take it from Unilever worldwide to Unilever Sri Lanka. So this is closer to home. This is who we are here in Sri Lanka. And I think this is where the line gets blurred of who is local, who is multinational. But let me say, I'm really proud to share that Unilever exists in Sri Lanka for no less than 82 years. We stood the test of times. We have been here in thick and in thin, in war and in peace. And the consumers have rewarded us with their loyalty, and we have been able to thrive thanks to our consumers. 96% of our products are produced here locally, so we do contribute to the bettering of the economy. Actually, we have two factories, I'm not sure if you're aware, one in Horana and another one in Agrapatana. We have a huge chain of partners. We really believe that it's something that has to happen in a circle. And will we thrive only when our partners, our packaging partners thrive with us. Our CD team is the pride of Unilever. They reach 100,000 retailers. Yeah, so that's the might of this CD team. Our supply chain team have developed unprecedented technologies in terms of partnership, sourcing, making, packing, and here you see a number that not only 96% of our products are made locally, but also our packaging material is made in Sri Lanka, and we have worked with our partners to get this done. So this is a brief, synopsis about Unilever in Sri Lanka. If we move to the next chart, I will now go to the heart of the conversation. So you guys are studying, business cases, you're studying case studies, brands. So I thought I'd share with you just 3 examples. We have about 28 or 29 brands. And I wanted to just pick up a portfolio of brands where we would like to speak about how can you grow a brand even during pandemic. And I must say that actually the pandemic makes us even more committed to growing our brands than not. This is because when you go into a pandemic, there is a new situation that happens. It is called recessionary. And either you will fly or you will die. And we don't believe in option 2. So we only believe in option 1, which is fly. And that meant actually for Unilever this year that we have stayed absolutely on the core of what we do every day, not letting the pandemic and the external factors take us away from our core, which is growing brands that serve the consumer. Because at the end, when you wear your clothes or when you buy your food, you do put an effort to select the brand or the offering that you think is relevant for you, that you think has the right quality and the right value for money. And I'm sure we will discuss that in further detail. So I'll start with Lifebuoy in the next chart. And look, Lifebuoy has been here for hundreds of years. It's an amazing brand. I think one of our most Olympic brands. We have a huge portfolio that spans many products. But our unique selling proposition is about hygiene. How lucky are we this year? Yeah, so I must say this one is luck, because you may be now a restaurant or a hotel where they have suffered in this pandemic. But something which is important, you can be a hygiene brand, that's all good. But if you do nothing about it on the ground, then how are you building your brand? So here is where I'd like to share with you, dear students, what makes a brand elevate from pure selling to a higher social order. So it's a simple thing, which is an internal belief at Unilever. We believe that there are two ways for a brand to speak. To say something in advertising, that's what we call the brand say. And then what we call the brand do is to do something on the ground. The reality is that we can all commentate on an issue. We can speak and speak and speak, but only when you do something about it will that become relevant. I'll give you an example. We can speak about poverty. We can speak about people not having money, but only if we do something about it will the click be there. It's exactly that same thinking that we believe here in our company. We believe that a brand can say about hygiene. A Lifebuoy could speak about hygiene, could speak about how it can kill the germs, etc. But only if it really does something about it, helping people lift their hygiene standards through community work, through CSR, etc., will the click happens. So I'll share with you what we have done just this year. So we've been actually a long life partner to many industries in terms of hygiene. But this year, we have taken all the schools together with the help of the Ministry of Education, all public schools. These are 10,000 schools that we have in our country. And we have developed a program for the entire 10,000 schools, which educates our students, small kids, on hygiene habits. We have built sinks to wash hands across the country, and actually you would see that even in railway station or at the entrance of supermarkets and so on and so forth. We have helped the quarantine centers. We were at the forefront of anything that is hygiene driven. We would be able to do something about it, and this is very different to your advertising. Yeah, so advertising was what you put on television, and this is what you do on the ground. So then you would ask how this helps in a pandemic. So the reality is, when you do something on the ground, people start to believe you. Yeah, so at Unilever, we believe that this model of say and do is the only model that can really grow a brand beyond the test of time and let it thrive for the longer journey. So this is Lifebuoy. Now you may say, well, but Lifebuoy is hygiene and this year is COVID, so it's a stroke of luck. The reality is we have been doing that with or without COVID. This year, we of course have accelerated that. But let me move to the second brand, and now we move to this one, which is Signal. So Signal, again, a formidable brand of ours. And yeah, we're the market leader in oral. And we enjoy a lot of trust and loyalty from our consumers. However, again, back to the model that I spoke about, when you want to grow a brand, you need to do something that is above having a product and a price and a quality that is good for the consumer. But we also here go and do our own cavity checks. So the Signal Sinaboeva program has just reached 2.5 million people where we do our dental screening, we partner with the dentist, and of course this is free of charge. Yeah, so that's the relationship that we create and the intimacy that we're able to create with the consumer. Again, this is not, let's do it this year and forget about it the other year. In our P&L inside the company, this is embedded into what we call brand marketing investment. And we have the head of CCBT's, so country category brand team. So we do that as a business, and they have the ability to decide on where to put their money. This is not something I decide. This is something decided by the head of the category. This is the beauty of this business. So therefore they are, nimble and agile, able to move from advertising to community work to donation, etc. So that's Signal. Then I will finish with Sunlight. So I actually really wanted to speak about Sunlight because Sunlight has done something super special. You would remember the angst and the mistrust that was created actually through the different wartime, if I may say, but specifically during Easter attack. There were lots of mistrust that has been brought, angst against religions, etc. Sunlight is all about care for the fabric, the fabric of your clothes. So the team have found this excellent click between caring for the fabric and caring for the social fabric. And here you see an example where Sunlight put a pledge where regardless of your religion, you are here to speak about peace, about love, and to elevate the conversation beyond religious belief. We have had over 1.2 million households that have pledged that they will heal the nation with us. And we have actually had, household opening up to different religions, able to create new bonds and new friendships thanks to Sunlight. So really relevant one to speak about, because I also wanted to speak outside the pandemic. Even when there is mistrust at a nation level, brands can have a say into there. Now, so these are the three examples: Lifebuoy, Signal, Sunlight. We have many others I didn't share with you just because of time. We have lots of work happening on Sensilk, on Glow and Lovely, on Pears, and many other brands. So I will move to a different way to grow your brands during the pandemic. And for us, this is a very, very essential one. So you know how there is a pyramid for our consumers. There is the have-not, the have, and the have-lot. So those that don't have a lot of cash, those that have okay cash, and those that have a lot of cash. And the reality is you have to create a portfolio for every strata of this pyramid. Yeah. So, and I must say, this is a science. Yeah. This is not like, let me put this brand here or that brand there, and life will be easy. This is about understanding how can you give the right quality of product even at the lowest price. So we intentionally, for example, put Lifebuoy where you see it's there. Lifebuoy is one of our best quality products. However, we make it affordable to the consumer. So I have less profit on Lifebuoy, but that's okay. Remember that Lifebuoy is about hygiene, and we have to live the hygiene of our nation. So these are the choices, or the strategic choices, that you make. A super quality brand still operating below the 99 rupee. And thereafter you grow all the way to take even the salon hair or the shampoo for salons that you can also sell at your supermarket. So this is how we stratify our pyramid. This is how we can offer different portfolio for different consumers. But I must say, whether you use Tresemme or whether you use Sensilk, the most important thing here is that you get the value of what you have, decided to purchase. So this pyramid is actually something that we have across every brand. There is no brand that doesn't have that, so that's very important. The second thing, which I didn't go through here in this deck, is that not only will we put Lifebuoy shampoo out there, but then you will have different sizes. So again, pricing by sizing is a very important information to keep in mind. So these are the type of things. So that's the second thing that help us grow our brands during recession. With that, I'd like to move to the next speech. And here maybe I will ask Johan to actually drop the deck, and I will move to the third one, which is people with purpose thrive. And I remember when Bandula and Rohanta were briefing me about the session. They said, Hajar, you know, at the end, the crowd wants to hear from you. I said, no problem. And I thought, therefore, I will do it with brand with purpose thrive. So as any one, I was a normal student going through my schooling. Never did I imagine that I will land in Sri Lanka today and be with you in this amazing forum. But I'd like to pause and maybe share with you the key aspects of what made me who I am today and why I believe the journey is really long. So something that I knew quite early is that I am here to change something, that each one of us needs to change something. That's why we are here as human beings. And I understood early that I needed to change the opinion people had towards women. That's because actually I was a part of a family where there were many, many daughters, and the family was looking for the son, for the boy. And therefore I understood quickly that it was important for my family to view me as an equal part to society. And that has given me a sense of purpose. And somehow, through my schooling, I kept that ability to see how I can bring change. Actually, I don't like when there is no change. So you could argue, actually, I like traveling and I like being in a new country and experimenting with new cultures. But just to share with you, when I was 18, I went to the school where I had my bachelor's, like a reputable school. You only can go there if you're like, you know, really, really good in what you do. And the first year I actually was off my purpose. I didn't study much. The first year I was taking it easy. I thought I was excellent. So I was like, yeah, all the exams will be easy, etc. And by the end of the year, whilst I was used to be always number one of my batch, here I am amongst the last of the batch. So at 18 years old, I think it hits you when you see all your comrades. And I remember that blackboard. It was written, you know, by hand back then. That my name was really not even on the top 50. Yeah, we were about 150, and I would see my name in 100 plus. And I decided that actually it's not okay to play. You have to be serious. I decided that life gives us responsibility, and I cannot, as a person, be mature and decide that this year it's okay, you know, I will pass. You have to be serious and you have to take that responsibility, because otherwise you cannot live your purpose. So from there on, I must say, it moved from being in the 100 less to being number one. And I finished measuring my my courses. I was number one every year. And actually, to be honest, it was not a pride. It was more of from this area of I have to do this, because otherwise I will fail myself before even failing the rest of the organization. Then from there came the big question. Maybe before I go to the big question, you would ask, but how did you move from number 100 to number one? Yeah, so if you ask this question, I must say, I think prioritization, clarity on where you need to focus, being humble in the courses where I was absolutely weak, asking for help on these courses where I was absolutely weak. So I'll share with you on accountancy, I was very weak, but I ended up again majoring in accountancy. I always had a bit of a weakness towards marketing, so that was easy. So I think this has helped me throughout. and taking my studies seriously instead of, being a victim or just saying, okay, this semester I will forget about it. Then with my diploma in the pocket, I decided that I will actually send my application to 2 companies only. I didn't send my application to any other company. I sent my application to Unilever, and I will not name the other company. Unilever did not call. Yeah, so actually I was without any call. So 3 weeks after, actually I called Unilever saying, no, I sent you a CV and I didn't receive any answer. So they said, okay, you can come. And I remember going to that, there was even no interview. There was just a call from me to them and they said, just come. So I went to that really eager, with lots of hope, with, all my family was praying, as you would remember. So I went and they said, which job do you want? And that's again clarity. So it's an important one. I said, I don't want to work in any other department, only one department, which is market research. I really believed in consumer and I wanted to give the consumer the best products ever. Then they said, but what if we don't have a market research job? I said, then tough luck. I'm not going to work for Unilever. I think that has showed the recruiter that I was serious. Actually, then I started passing the interviews in all seriousness and I got the job. The second thing, so if I may share here the learning is the clarity that you have a responsibility towards your studies, that it is not an if, it is something you need to do because you have a higher purpose. The second one is when you go to work and you're eager to have any job, still I think the importance to have a click between what you want to do and the job will give you lots of fun. And therefore I really wanted to do something I want to do instead of, go to a job just to have a job. That would not be the best thing. From thereafter, I realized that schooling never finishes. Like when you will finish school, you will be like, oh my God, finally I will have my money, I will have my independence, I can, enjoy. Actually, learning is for life. I understood that I had to continue learn, otherwise my game is going to downgrade. It's exactly like if you're an athlete. Imagine if you're a runner and you have achieved something, you won your first running competition. What does it mean for the second one? Will you train or not? You will, even you will train harder. It's exactly the same thing. So I understood that learning will never finish. I got enrolled in many other, conferences, workshops. Unilever helps a lot with lots of leadership programs, etc. I had change management by INSEAD, many other, leaders helped me shape my opinions and who I became. I started studying books and reading books, not because I had to pass an exam, which you know what it is, you need to pass an exam, so you really, devour the book but forget about it. I started being interested in economy, in politics, because I wanted to learn, not because it was imposed by others. I think from there, as I told you, I like to change the status quo. Till now, I never refused any job that Unilever has offered me. And it gave me the chance to live in different countries. So they said, would you enjoy going to South Africa? I said, yeah, so why not? And we went to live 2 years in South Africa. It was amazing. And from there, we went to London. I lived about 10 years or more in London, doing different things, and gave me so much exposure to different people, different culture, etc. And from there, I lived in the Netherlands. I returned to London. And then I actually thought, okay, time to take another challenge, because here you go between London and the Netherlands, there was not much change. So I remember going to my boss and I said, you know what, I really like the job I'm doing today. We were in London and I was only 6 months into the job, but I don't think I'm learning much. And I don't think there is any big challenge to solve. What I'm doing is okay, but I really need something more challenging. And he said, yeah, Hajar, just enjoy it. You don't need to have each job with a challenge. I said, no, please, can you think about a more challenging job? And this is where actually Sri Lanka, I decided on Sri Lanka having from the 190 countries which you have, which I've told you Unilever exists in, I've selected only 4 countries. I will not say which are the other 3 countries. But I went back to HR and to my manager saying, look, I'd love to work in any of these 4 countries. And then you would ask, how did you decide? Again, back to the clarity. Remember what I told you. Be really choiceful in terms of what you want to do with your studies, with your first job, and where your career takes you. So I've put a simple criteria, which is I really want women to be developed. Which are the countries where the workforce is still more men? That throws a little bit of a table. The second criteria was which country I believe has the possibility in terms of GDP to continue grow. That gave me another set of table. And so on and so forth. I put 4 criteria. From these 4 criteria, only 4 countries came, and here I am in Sri Lanka. Now, coming to Sri Lanka, I continue to learn. I learn every day with my team, with my board, with the rest of my colleagues. I learn how to adapt with the new culture, and I thought I will also study Sinhala and Tamil, but I must say it's a difficult one, so I'm trying. And there are 2 words which I'd like to share. Mama Adambarai, to be here living in Sri Lanka. And yes, I agree with you, Rohanta. I love the country, the hospitality, the food, etc. So I continue to learn and I continue to better myself and be, I think, and be in that level of responsibility. So here I'll go back to projecting. So that's People with Purpose Thrive. I wanted to speak about me if you go back to that circle. So, but I was keen to share with you some tips as to how you can better yourself as a leader. So if we go, Johan, to the next chart, please. So there is a system that we believe exists at Unilever. If you go to the next chart, please, then I will go back. Yeah, this one. So you remember what I told you about myself? So that actually is in your left-hand side. This is what we call the inner game. What you bring to the table as a leader, as a human. So number 1 is to know your purpose and to be in service. So if I link it back to what I shared, I knew that my purpose was to change the status quo, and I shared with you why. Then to have that personal mastery, that you are here to always bring your best. Yeah. So of course you will have days where your energy is low, but the way to deal with it is to share it, to say to your team or colleagues or professor, today I have a really bad day. That we call personal mastery, the ability to read your emotion, to step back and say, oh, today was a bad day. That is actually high personal mastery. So that's the second element, which I think, which we believe at Unilever strengthens your inner game. And the third one is what I spoke about, this constant learning, really eagerness to better yourself, because it's a never ending learning system. If your inner game, and that's your left-hand side, is high, you know your purpose, you have a high personal mastery, you're agile and curious, your outer game, this is how you come out to the world, or the perception or the way you produce the work comes strong. And of course, the outer game is more about some fundamentals about how we do business, so I will not go through them. Then you have a set of values, which come whatever may, you live with these values. So our values at Unilever are respect, responsibility, integrity, pioneering. These values, we hire people on these shared values, because if there is a clash of values, it's very difficult to do business and relationship together. So we hire our talent based on these 4 values, of course, looking at psychometrics, etc. If you ask about my values, it's all about fairness, it's about integrity, it's about honesty and justice. So hopefully not very far from the Unilever ones. And I will actually end with the chart before, Johan, if you can. some tips which I thought I'll share with you. So 4 blocks I will go through quickly. You know, when we speak about leadership, people believe that you need to be at the top of an organization to make change. If you look at a guy, if I call him a guy, if you look at a leader like Mahatma Gandhi, he was a normal human being, but he was able to move generations and humanity with him. So what I'd like to share with you here is that you can be a normal person, not a CEO, but your ideas can change people, can change humanity. You need to believe in it. Authenticity and consistency for me is what we have spoken about. Be yourself. You cannot copy anybody else. And actually, I was one that I always was looking at Facebook at the time, thinking, oh, why am I not having what my other friends have? But the reality is, the more unique and personal you are, the better authentic leader you will become. When you get a job, please take this as a responsibility, because actually a title is distributed. You know, I am grateful Unilever has named me as the chairperson for Unilever, but that's a responsibility. And when I work with my team, I work as me, the leader, Hajar, and what I bring to the table. Yeah? Then I will go quickly. I think you can read for yourself. I will move to, hello, am I okay? Am I audible? Yeah, I think it's...
Hajar, you're audible. We can hear you very clearly. Thank you.
Very clearly, Hajar.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then I will go quickly. I think decision making is very important. So I spoke about clarity of choices, prioritization of what needs to be done. But I think the second point, I didn't speak about much, but courage. Oftentimes, we know what are the problems, but we do not have the courage to face these problems. And, you know, I would encourage all of us to fight these internal demons of, oh, I'll delay that problem for another day, because you will never solve it and the problem will only get bigger. So courage is quite important in today's DNA, because you even more now than before, because it has become more of a choice in the world rather than I will just surf the wave, whatever way it comes. Speed is essential. So if you don't have that clarity, that courage to deal with the problem, then you have a problem. But if you're slow, then thank you so much for thinking, but execution can eat strategy. Yeah, so that's why speed is essential. And please call for help. So this year, I actually called my boss, Sanjeev Mehta, who is based in India, asking him to help me on many things. I called for my board saying, guys, please, we need to think differently. We need to act differently. And you know, the moment you become vulnerable and you actually admit that you don't know it all, I promise you, people come for help. And I have seen that plentiful in our Unilever team. I think in terms of rejuvenating, this is my way of doing things. You may have other ways. So I like to always take a perspective and think about whether the problem we're facing is a structural problem, or is just a small problem, or is it something I'd like to really put my hand into it. Your values, we spoke about them. These values have to guide you. And for me, it's a matter of principle. So, you know, if you stick to your values, I believe it can only do you good, because you will be able to sleep the night in peace. I will always say that your career is in your hands. Yeah. So you will do with your career what you want. Decide, write down your plan. Decide what's your course of action and act on it. We spoke about don't copy others, because I want you to be unique and only yourself, because that's what will bring the beauty of you. And finally, you know, experience is not what comes to you. Experience is what you do with it. Yeah. So we all experience different things, but then so what? What do I do with that experience? So on this last word, I'd like to thank you again for this amazing session. I am sorry we're not able to be together, and have this on a more engaging platform. I hope I have not bored you. And if I may summarize, so we can now drop the presentation. If I may summarize, I really longed today to share with you who we are as Unilever, what is our purpose and our raison d'être, making sustainable living commonplace, and how it clicks with our company, with our brands, and with our people. I've given you some examples of brands, and I think two things or three things which, if I would say, are takeaways. One is the ability for the brand to move beyond the say to a do. Second is the ability to give offering that are at different pricing with the highest quality of products. So that's the third one. And then we spoke about people and how people with purpose thrive, the importance of being centered around your inner game. Because if your inner game is strong, you guarantee an outer game, which is just amazing. So thank you so much. And Professor, over to you.
Thank you very much, Hajar. I mean, it was actually fantastic. Having been to executive education in Harvard, I mean, when I listened to what you said, I mean, it's like out of this world. So focused, so much to learn, and so human in what you said. Thank you very much. And actually, we are really honored to have you at APIT. Just a few questions that has come, and I will share it with you. So the first question that you're getting is that, I mean, thank you for selecting Sri Lanka from 190 countries. I mean, it's so beautiful to know that you who have gone from South Africa to UK and then to Netherlands and back, you decided that Sri Lanka is within those top 4 countries. I suppose, and it is number 1 because National Geographic as well as Lonely Planet ranked it as number 1. So you're in the world's number 1 planet and country, and I think Australia also ranked us day before yesterday as the number 1 island in the world. So Hajar, you before you came, Sri Lanka was growing at about 5 to 7% GDP growth, and you said that was one of the criteria by which you would select. But then, Q1 we degrew by about 1.6%. Q2, day before yesterday, Bloomberg was saying that we had minus 16.3%. So the question that I have is, what are the key changes you see to a consumer behavior between the pre and now the pandemic?
Yeah, so very, very relevant question. So I will not speak again about the GDP, but the GDP gives us actually the best mirror to what's happening with our consumers. So the reality is we have seen many, many new trends in the consumer behavior this year. We have seen a consumer that we have classified in 3, what we called COVID essential. We have seen a consumer that wants hygiene like no other day. So that's what we call the COVID essential. Hygiene was top of the minds, and it's still top of the minds, which is actually a good thing. And I hope this will continue because hand washing is important. So this is new, COVID essentials. Then we saw other categories which consumers actually consumed more. These are tea, for example. Consumers believed in the power of tea and the herbal nature of tea and the ability to boost immunity. But also alongside tea, we saw a boost in toothpaste. Funny enough, people are washing more their teeth than before. However, we saw again a consumer that was at home. A consumer that is at home, all the beauty regime around face actually has become more of a do-it-yourself. People are, putting coconut oil back on their face because they have the time to. People want to do cooking from scratch because A, they have the time, B, they believe it's healthier. So that's a new consumer. So you could say that there is a creative aspect of our consumers that has gotten created. I'm, starting with the positives. The second positive that has happened this year to our consumers is trusting online purchase. Before, you would not really trust us. You need to go with your own legs and etc. Whereas now we have a consumer that is able to trust online. That in itself will be an amazing growth for the years to come for Sri Lanka. So these are two things which have happened more on a positive side. Now, the third thing, which probably I would say is neither optimistic nor pessimistic, we saw a consumer that doesn't want to leave home. We saw a consumer that actually, even when there is no lockdown, prefers to stay at home with family than go out. So this cocooning, I believe, is good, but also not good. Now, there are many statistics that say that actually, if you don't go out to the sun, to nature, you may get sick. So it's a balancing act. Now I'll come to the side effect of the pandemic, yeah? So I'll speak about 2 or 3, but I'm sure there are many others. So one thing, Professor, is financial stability has been shaken. Financial stability has been shaken to the tune that consumer confidence has really dropped. Consumers think twice before they make any act of purchase, rightly so. When they want to buy a brand, before they check even the price, they think, is it a brand I trust? Because I cannot, do any mistake or any risk. Consumers are actually stocking as well. They will buy more rice and more dal and more because they want to secure the base of the pyramid of Maslow, which is security. So this fear of losing control on very essential stuff is not a good space, because what you want is a consumer thriving, is a consumer spending and enjoying life. So that's, I think, one of the side effects of the COVID. I think the second side effects, which we have to speak about, is the lack of social contact. And whilst in the beginning it was nice to be at home and do WhatsApp videos, etc., it is starting to impact us all. To, you cannot hug people, you cannot be with people without a distance. So I think that's another side effect, and hopefully it will go away.
Thank you, Hajar. I mean, that is, you're really right. I mean, when you see that there's been a huge spike in the trust of online. Online has gone up by, I think, 245% is what Kantar research says recently. And I think your point of where people have gone back to tradition, old ways of doing things, has also come out through the Kantar research study. So, I mean, we went through phase 1 and now we are in phase 2 of the pandemic. And this phase 2 has really impacted us because you have all these isolations happening, and you have lockdowns across different cities. How do you see the disruption that is happening in distribution, Hajar?
I think it's a very pointed question, big disruption, but if I may just take a little bit of perspective. Disruption has happened everywhere. Imagine hotels, restaurants, or restaurant providers, people that do weddings and all of that. There was a huge time where everything was closed. Now, closer to home, distribution has completely changed during 2-3 months. I think it was April, May, where we saw all the shops closed, but people needed food, needed essentials. So the distribution has changed so much so that our CD team, or our customer development team, was actually roaming the streets, asking whether you want a sunlight or a Lifebuoy, getting the phone on people and servicing them in the afternoon. Number one. When you were going to purchase online in the past, you would receive your goods in 5 or 7 days. Now, it would have taken us maybe 5 years, but now in 24 hours, you get your stuff. Yeah, that's quite nice in terms of distribution. And lastly, in terms of delivery for your food, if you take Uber Eats, etc., now they deliver within 20 minutes. So the whole thing of distribution, I must say, it's almost an opportunity in a crisis, Professor, because whilst initially it was difficult, by now that we are at the end of the year, when I reflect back with my team on distribution, actually we have gained a new muscle. Now we can serve consumers differently. We can contact them differently. They trust us. We can service them online, and that actually is a beautiful thing that has happened this year. And now, when I say it's a beautiful thing, I really hope that we never merge two things, which is safety and aggressivity. So safety remains number one priority, and I think what the government has done is really commendable. Sri Lanka still ranks amongst the lowest countries hit by this pandemic, which I think is really, really good. I mean, it just compared to UK or France, and then the numbers are quickly done, or even our sister countries next to us. But the other thing is aggressivity. Whilst we need to care about people's life, etc., we do not want people to die out of hunger. Yeah, so I think this question of safety, livelihood, and how do you balance the two, and then you have economy and you have commitment. So I think it's a balancing act. Many countries got it wrong. Actually, the majority of countries, let us say it this way, even the biggest nations, if you think about the US, etc., got it wrong. And now we're starting to think that economy, livelihood, and safety have to happen at the same time, and not safety only. I think that probably has been a little bit of a turbulence over some 40 to 60 days this year.
Hajar, do you feel that when you talk about the distribution disruption, I was more looking at where your DBs find it difficult to work because there are this whole issue of where people can't come to work. So then you have this whole impact where the people cannot come to the distributor in terms of distributing the goods. So because of the lockdown. So what I was actually referring to is what do you do to serve the consumer? That situation likely happened last month.
Yeah, so I answered what do we do to serve the consumer, but let me backtrack to what you've said. So we, as a company, we actually asked for curfew pass. Yeah, and we were granted curfew passes. Once you're granted a curfew pass, you decide what to do with it. And this is where manufacturing had changed. So we went from many shifts inside the factory to only 2 shifts. We went to providing private transport to all of our workforce. This is still the case. Yeah, so all our workforce in the factory, we provide their own transport to make sure that the environment in which they operate is 100% safe. So these are things that we have installed. Of course, I'm not going to speak about the safety inside our operations, but before I go to distribution and the specific question you asked for, we still are working from home. Yeah, so just put another thing in that basket. Now let me speak about specifically to distribution. What we have done is we have decided which are really the people that need to be at the distributor and which are the people that can do their job via phones. So actually, we realized that only 30% of the staff was really needed at the distributor point, and the rest of the 70, they can do their duties on the phone. So imagine that, yeah? So that's a beautiful discovery. Then, of course, we went then to rotations, and that has limited the number of people at any distributor point. There was a lot of external meeting, not internal meeting. So all of that has happened. Now, if you go to the supermarket, I'm sure you would remember that there were times where you can only let some 20 people inside. Yeah, do you remember these days where you could only be 20 people inside? So all during these months, we could not send our merchandisers. So the shelves were looking nasty, but that we had to accept. So this is how we actually served it. It's really flexibility towards each of the departments. So workforce, private transport, safety inside and outside our factory. Teams that can work from home, they continue to work 100% from home. Wave 1, Wave 2, we never reopened our Grand Pass office, or we have not yet reopened our Grand Pass office. And then with our distributor, we changed our way of working to be more phone calls instead of physical presence.
I mean, Hajar, it must be a very, very interesting time because, I mean, Unilever does so much of empirical research before they come out with strategy. And suddenly you have a situation where, all that empirical research is useless because You have the whole marketplace changing and the consumer changing, and everything again starts from like ground zero. So it must be really interesting. But I just want to understand from you, uh, the world will be poorer in post the pandemic. I mean, what do your view on this?
Let's wait and see. But if I may share, Professor, I think there are two worlds now. You can't go to the cinema, so Netflix is booming. Yeah, you can't go. Yeah, so there are different worlds that are starting out there. You can't go to the restaurants, but you can call Uber. Uber is thriving. Amazon has delivered growth in double digits. I can't remember the last number I read, but actually we know that actually they have actually acquired more wealth this year than any other year. So I think this is my view, what we will notice in the future is actually more disparity. So you will have more people in the bottom, more people in the top, but unfortunately less people in the middle. So unfortunately, also I spoke about Amazon and I spoke about Netflix, but I cannot remember the tuk-tuk driver. The tuk-tuk driver that doesn't have a tourist, doesn't have anybody. I was speaking to some tuk-tuks and they said, now at best I make 1,000 rupee a day when I was making 3,000. Okay, how can you sustain a family? Or the small SMEs, because our SMEs are very, very fragile. Businesses that have just opened. Yeah, so I don't think the world will be poorer altogether, but we will see more disparity in terms of have-nots and have-lots. And this is not a good equation. So the hope is the government will subsidize, and we have seen in the budget speech that the government is going to do lots of help for the SMEs, for the new entrepreneurs, etc., to rebalance that pyramid. I think it will take at least a year, well, let's see, but at least a year and a half to just find a way of stability in that pyramid. Then we will see whether there will be more growth coming.
Do you feel that, I mean, when I go to the supermarket, I see so much of products which are discounted on price. I mean, how do you do brand building when consumers are, like you very rightly said, are going to drive for a lot of price discounts, and price is going to be a key reason of purchase? I mean, how do you react to that kind of situation?
So absolutely price is in that equation of choice. But if I may, Professor, I think price comes only second to which brand. Because, and actually there are enough research done from big research houses that back in 2008, when there was the financial crisis in the West, when people were really suffering, not because of a pandemic, but just because there was a financial crisis that hit everybody. They identified, and we saw that today, this year as well, they identified that before price, psychologically, people put which brand at which price. So it is not a price-driven equation, it is which brand at which price. Why? Because if you have, let's say, 20 rupee in your pocket and you want to buy a small sachet of detergent, what you cannot do is to choose a brand you don't know, because there you will take a big risk on the 20, even if it is at a discount. You don't know the brand. So there is a very quick equation that happens in the consumer mind. It's really at a subconscious level. What is the memory structure you have of that brand? If it is a brand you trust, that is at a discount, this is where the win is. If it is a brand you trust, but the price is so high, yeah, you cannot afford, then of course you will lose that brand. So how, now I come to the second bit of your question, Professor. How have we done it? So we basically have ensured that no price increase was taken all this year. Yeah, so our brands have continued to be at the same price, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, regardless of inflation. Our P&L, of course, was slightly hit because of that, but that's okay because we needed to ensure that we remained on a competitive pricing for the consumer. That's one. Number two, that pyramid I spoke about, we started to think about different formats, because some people wanted big sizes because maybe curfew will come. Now, if you go to a big size, of course, the price per gram is going to drop. Some people wanted even smaller packs because they don't have enough cash. So these are new formats that you can create around that. I must say it is not always about, price drop, price drop, because otherwise I don't think even the consumer will start to trust, because they will say maybe they have a quality issue if they continue to collapse in terms of pricing. So these are the two things we have done: is sizes, big sizes, small sizes, and second of all, ensuring that this year we have not actually touched our pricing to make sure that we create a stability in the market.
Yeah, at 19, 20 years, did you ever thought that, did you ever vision that you will become the chairperson of Unilever? When you saw that board and you were 150 on the line, did you ever in your young age say, I want to become the chairperson, or was it that you were more interested about your purpose? How did you feel?
So the first bit, Professor, absolutely not. I did not realize that I would be sitting here today, being at the helm of an honorable company like the one I'm leading today. I think, so I feel super proud, honored, and really humbled. And there was one clip which I shared with my team a week ago. They asked me a similar question, and I said, when I turned I think I was 37 or something of that sort. Again, I thought I learned it all. Again, I thought, I've reached the culmination of my career and life is good. And that's actually when one of my mentors, this is the importance of always having a mentor that can give you advice, really sat me down and said, you have not reached your potential. Your potential is much higher than what you thought. And I was like, oh, really? I think that's it. And I remember him saying the importance of me continuing the journey, not giving up on that journey, not believing that you have reached your potential. So I went back to think, what do I really want to do in the future? And I didn't share that, but actually I loved managing businesses when I was young, and that's a small business of my dad. And I then came to this conclusion that in my career, I actually never led a business. So maybe that gives me another challenge. And here we are. So I think if I may step back, I think this ability to, better yourself, admit when you are in error. And I have been failing and in error, as I shared with you, a lot of time. But this ability to think back and then continue the journey and think that better days will come. So, and here we go. So I've just landed in Sri Lanka. I really hope, just landed, it's almost now a year, but I really hope I will make this stint a successful one, and I will be able to grow leaders in Sri Lanka that can, sustain that legacy forward.
Yeah, when I listen to you, what I hear is not the theory that you are a specialist and you've got a major in marketing, but what I hear is, real blue-blooded marketing running through your vein. So, can you tell us what did you have in your mind when you came to Sri Lanka? What was your kind of a perception, and what do you see as the reality? From real, being so strong in marketing. Was there a huge dissonance, which was either positive or negative? What do you feel?
So I'll share with you in all honesty, because I've taken so many assignments in many different countries, I never had the expectation of whether it's going to be good or bad, So I always go with this idea, I will discover. And for many, many days, I was on YouTube researching, I've never been, by the way, to Sri Lanka before this assignment. Never. Not even on a holiday, yeah. And when I put Sri Lanka in my top 4 list, and then Sri Lanka came, I was like, okay, well, let me better study what's Sri Lanka. So I went, I studied, I read, the tourist books, I went on YouTube, understood the travelers. So I was really longing to come to see nature, the beach. I love animals. The biodiversity we have here is amazing. And I said to my husband, we need to start eating spice. And then I was crying for some 3-4 months. So I think coming with zero expectation helped me, because when I traveled to Kandy, I was amazed. When I went to Nurelia, I was wowed. And in September, we went to Trincomalee and we swam in a beach together with the fish all around us. I mean, where this happens in the world, I can tell you. I lived in many parts. Never did it happen that the fish was just all around us, happy and beaming. So I think that hit the mark. I didn't expect this beautiful nature. So I really hope we will not go into further lockdowns because I'm eager to visit more places. Food was a huge thing for me because I couldn't deal with the spice. And it took me some 3-4 months, but now I can share with you that I cook my hopper every day myself. And this is my best breakfast, is my egg hopper. So yeah, so I think you take it as it comes, and then I cannot not say hospitality. I joined, and 3 months later or 2 months later, my arm was I broke my arm, and I cannot tell you the care I received from everyone in my team. Like, people were cooking and sending me food. You don't need to do that. Certainly in London, even your neighbor next door never knocks on your door. Whereas here, I've had many of my team members who are growing vegetables in their backyard, sending me vegetables. And so I think the hospitality and the sense of a family unity that is here in this country is really unmatchable. I hope I've answered your question.
I mean, as a former chairman of Sri Lanka Tourism, it's actually really music to my ears when you say this, Hajar. And last week, Tourist Board wanted me to present the overall strategy to the BIMSTEC countries. And if I had done this interview before, I would have taken a clip from you and played it to all the 7 countries, and maybe they would have convinced that Sri Lanka is actually outstanding of chapters of Unilever. Hajar, I mean, since you have so much of depth in like the overall macro plus, the micro kind of atmosphere, I mean, do you feel that this vaccine which is coming into play will again take us back to the pre-pandemic lifestyle?
Big question. Look, I think I'll be wrong to say anyone knows what the future holds. I hope the future holds better days than 2020, and we all want 2020 to go away. Now, we all are happy that there is a vaccine. I think we need to start with that. And it was done in speed and with courage from many scientists. However, if you look at research, there is a prediction that the first half of next year will still continue to have some turbulence. Because by the time the vaccine reaches, by the time it is scaled, by the time it is distributed, by the time people start, the normal people, because of course we start with the people with the frontliners, etc., then it will come to us, normal countrymen and citizens. So I think that probably will take us to the second half. Now, with that, where the world is going to go, I think it's going to get better. However, what we have learned this year is that there could be a pandemic anytime. So this year was COVID. Now we understand it. There could be something else. We hope not. And I hope this vaccine will help us all. I think the government is doing their best to get the vaccine as soon as possible. And we need to take that responsibility to, do our bit in terms of vaccines, continuing the safety protocols. Whether it will go back to before COVID, I think it will take some time. Because there are some, scratches or some scars that needs to be fixed. People need to regain confidence. People need to trust each other. Businesses need to come again and find a way to boost and grow again. So that, I think, will probably be more towards the second half of 2021 and come into 2022.
I mean, that's really fantastic, Hajar, and I sincerely wish that now that tourism is going to open on the 29th, that we will not see the third wave coming, because they always say that research is showing all over the world that the third wave is going to be much more impactful than the second wave. I mean, you're right, we've had only a 0.45% fatality rate, but that 0.45 on a 750 people coming in every day means that you're going to have 100 people dying in the next 1 month in Sri Lanka. So it's very challenging times, but you're right. I mean, I think we have to live in hope, make sure that the vaccine is going to hit us quicker as possible. One last point, Hajar, what is your final concluding thoughts to a youngster who is studying? They are yet aspiring. I mean, we have almost 70 students in a batch who focuses on MBA, very senior people, yet living in hope, saying, I'm going to invest on myself for the future so that post the pandemic I'm okay to drive. What is your final concluding thoughts to a youngster?
Yeah, so I think there's something really essential in what you said, Professor. Your journey is way bigger than a COVID. Your journey is yet to come. The coming 20, 30 years that are ahead of you. So the more you invest in yourself, come whatever may the context is, the better the outcome will be. Number one, I think the importance of believing in yourself, really being choiceful in terms of what you want to do is important. And as I said, learning never stops. So continue invest in your learning, continue to better yourself. I am sure that many of you who are seeking a job are thinking, yeah, but how can you get a job when companies are not having jobs? But again, this is periodic. This is not going to last. At Unilever this year, we have not done any restructuring. Actually, we have hired another 20 people, if my records are right, to our arsenal. All the commitments we have had, we have honored. So it is important for you to know that we also are eager to get talent, but the best talent. Yeah. So talent that will just collapse because there was a pandemic. Do you really want that talent inside? No. So I want you to be bigger than a pandemic. Continue to believe in yourself. Humanity will continue to thrive. Good always come before evil, and good always will prevail. Then maybe on the softer side, believe in yourself. Your journey is about to start, no matter the context. And be yourself. Do not try to copy your colleagues, etc. Create your own selling proposition and be authentic and driven by it. Today you have connected me with my younger self, so I really, really enjoyed, thinking back. And if I may give, actually, if I may change something, looking back at my own younger self, I would really have said this ability to be yourself, play your game, be centered around what you want to do, and not be deviated by what others may say or how others will perceive you, because these are all noise. Seek feedback, seek mentors, and really better yourself every day. Whether you land in the dream job or not, again, remember, the most important thing is that you enjoy that job. Remember when I took the interview, I told them either market research or thank you so much. That was the only interview I've had, nothing else. So the importance of enjoying what you do, because if you enjoy what you do, you will excel at it, and I am sure you will make, therefore, the best outcome out of it. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Hajar. I think you're the gift that Sri Lanka has got, and it's so beautiful to have you in Sri Lanka. And what you shared today is, it's something like what you see in the book. So it's actually an honor to actually meet you. And can I hand over to Abdullah, Chairman of APIT, to have the concluding remarks? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor. It was really superb to be with you today and discuss these matters. Thank you so much for your kind generosity and words.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Hajar. May I do my concluding remarks? So I am permission to ask the first question that I ask you. I hope that everything under control. I must say from my side, everything went on well, madam. Congratulations. All went on well. Not because of the pattern and the way that you handle it. Was very simple, but contentful and very humble way of express your thoughts are remarkable. So that's the feedback that I can give it to you straight away. And many people, when it comes to, madam, that everywhere. When it comes to you are serving for the multinational, I am serving for the multinational for my other job. So when it comes to the multinational, people's mind is different. They want to be a multinational part of it, but when it comes to multinational, they have different thoughts. But they don't know the people like you are leading the whole thing. Like they give the right content, they give the right insight for the people, they give the right leadership. So that is where I want you to bring here to express the world, saying that there is a person called Hajar there. I have seen many interactions also with it outside with you, and I put all other CEOs also like Fabrice and me. They talk about the purpose, they talk about the content. So I must congratulate for giving that the right attitude for my people, my students, for they are to have their leadership skill within. It's so amazing, so inspiring to listen to you. People are very high. Not only for you, Haja. Most importantly, you put Unilever in the top. So that is where is the most important thing. People will look up to that. People will definitely look for joining Unilevers. But as you said very clearly, best talents. That is what Apit also aspiring. Basically, we apart from our academic excellence, we want to do comprehensive people for the society. You did it for the society, we are doing for the society as a job and as a whole. So once again, madam, with all your busy schedule, forget about all these things. Doing something for our younger generation is a great, remarkable job that you have done during your Sri Lankan stay. Thank you very much. We hope to see you for many other attractions also whenever we can. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. I know I have been with the creme of the creme today, and receiving this generous feedback gives me a lot of pleasure. You know, when I work in Sri Lanka, I believe I'm also Sri Lankan. Yeah, I eat the food of Sri Lanka. I sleep in Sri Lanka. I have no difference to the rest of you. Thank you so much for this really nice 2 hours together. I wish you all a restful 1 or 10 days wherever you are going to rest and reflect and come stronger for 2021. Continue to believe in the power of yourself.
Just a comment for you, ma'am. I have been interacting with your people on Unilevers. They are brilliant people. We have a nice team, good people, contentful people, nice people. I'm happy to work with them as well in many forums. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care, ma'am. All the best for the next year.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you very much. So that brings us for another ending of the series, Meeting a CEO. Let's meet back again in another session in another week's time. Until then, good night.